Hello and welcome to Football 301. I'm your host, Nate Tice. We are going to be previewing week 7, lucky number 7. Lucky me, because to help me preview week 7 is my guy in the studio again after a little foray back in his apartment where I got to see the on-air sign. It is Mr. Forverts himself, Charles McDonald. How you doing today, Chuck? Looking warm, looking cozy over there. How's the weather over there in New York?
It's cold in New York. I'm waking up and I can tell we're a few weeks away from me being to see my breath, like when I wake up in the morning.
It's crisp.
Like this is the worst time, like one of the worst times of year to me because it's not quite cold enough to like turn the heat on the apartment, but it's still cold. So like today when I took a shower, I'm scrambling to get some clothes on because I'm sitting there like shivering, in my bedroom trying to find some clothes. But other than that, then the temperature just magically dropping from like 75 to 45 and 50 in the span of like 3 days. I'm doing all right. How about you?
Yeah, we're just skipping seasons now. That's it. Summer to winter, back to summer, then back to winter. That's what we're doing now. No, I'm doing wonderful. I finally over the cold that I've kept everyone updated on at every show I've been on. So here we're feeling good as we go to this weekend. The Thursday night game should be some good schlock too. So I kind of like it almost. It's I either want it really good or really bad. You can't just have the mediocre, Waterworld of the world. Like, I don't know if that reference works for you. You ever seen Waterworld?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay.
But maybe people who are listening have. I don't know.
It's in the mid-90s. Yeah, it was like really expensive. It was like a failed production. All this stuff went huge over budget. I think it was like the most expensive movie. And it was just like, okay. And I think that's why everyone hated it. So I either want a really good or a really bad game tonight. I think we're going to get to the latter. But after Thursday, once we get to Sunday and then Monday night even, great slate of games. Fantastic slate of games. So that's what we're going to do today. Charles and I picked out 4 games that we think are the most interesting. We're each going to break down one side of the ball. We probably have notes on a little bit of everything, but we're going to start with Texans Packers. Then we have Chiefs 49ers, Ravens Bucs, and we're going to cap it off with our Haas fight of the week, which is the Lions and the Vikings. Feels fitting that the NFC North battle is the Haas fight of the week. And then we have a little mailbag question at the end, which was in a review. Good for you. And I can't wait to get to that one. It's a fun one. It's not football related, but it is fun. But we're going to start off with a really, really fun game. Really fun quarterback matchup, too. That is the Texans at the Packers. Packers are 2.5-point home favorites. They are also wearing some phenomenal all-white uniforms that Jordan Love makes look sick. And the Texans have some injuries. Guys have mispracticed. Their linebackers have mispracticed. The defensive tackles are kind of all over the place, missing practice, coming off and on suspensions. So we are going to start off with, I'm going to let you go with the Texans offense versus the Packers defense, Charles McDonald. Charles is going to focus on this side. I might have some thoughts as well, but when you're watching Texas offense versus Packers defense, what do you focus on, Chuck?
Dude, I don't want to sound like a hater here because I'm actually having a whole bunch of fun watching the Texans offense. But I feel like I'm having fun watching it for all the wrong reasons, right?
Okay.
Because it's hero ball is what we've devolved into with the Texans offense. I'm not watching a well-oiled machine. I'm not watching, a hyper-efficient offense. I'm watching one guy basically say, all right, it's 3rd down, it's 4th down. I'm going to put on my big boy pants and we're going to get it across the finish line. And that's what CJ Stroud has been doing for the Texans offense. And I kind of don't know if people have realized like how much this has deteriorated around him because he keeps playing well, he keeps showing up, he keeps like quite literally just dragging them across the finish line in games where he's kind of the only thing working. And then you get the this past weekend where it's Patriots, they suck, starting a rookie quarterback. Those are the types of games that a team like the Texans can really blow them out. So when I look at the Texans, they kind of remind me of like what if like the Giants team from a couple years ago, or that Vikings team from a couple years ago, where they were both just winning close games and winning by the skin of their teeth. What if one of those teams had an elite quarterback? And that's what the Texans have become this year. So when you just start looking into the numbers, you would if I made you close your eyes and like just put away the record, right? I tell you, there's an offense 25th in success rate, 17th in EPA per play, 26th in EPA per rush on first and second down, 30th in success rate on first and second down, 43% rate on 43% success rate on third and fourth down. You'd be like, whoa, that team sucks, but they're 5-1. So
and they have like one of my MVP favorites playing right now. It's just crazy. The stats don't match it.
He should be the MVP because this team stinks around him. And even the fact, like when you start watching their games, the offensive line is not what it used to be. Laramie Tunsil. I mean, some of these guys that we've watched for careers, like they're hitting 30. The backside 30. So they've played for a long time. He hasn't quite looked the same. And when you start watching more and more of the games, it feels like a miracle that like even their pressure rates in the top half of the league on offense because CJ is getting the ball out so quickly. So I think when you start looking at the Packers defense, it's almost like a weakness onto a strength because the Packers can stop the run, but the Texans couldn't run it anyways. So that's not really anything new for what they're going to have to be dealing with this week. So you're going to be right back in the same place. CJ Stroud, hero ball, 3rd and 4th down. And hopefully, someone can go out there and make a play against some of these Packers DBs because it's not just like where they're winning for this game or how they can win for this game. It's going to have to be how they win every single game because if you go and put a league average quarterback into that surroundings, we're talking about, could Garrett Nussmeier be a Texans next year? Could Shedeur Sanders be a Texans next year? That's how bad this offense is around him right now.
It is. I touched on it last week. I wrote about it last week, and it's like CJ Stroud's playing phenomenal. Like it really is. Even in the game against the Bills, where he had a couple turnovers late, it's like, all right, but he's the only thing working right now. Going into last week, they had a bottom 5 run game in terms of success rate since the year 2012. One of the worst 5 run games we have seen in the last 12 years. That is since the new CBA, basically. They can't. They're getting 3rd and longs over and over, and then Stroud's just making it work. Getting pressured over and over. Stroud's just making it work. They're playing against that Patriots defense and it made them a slog until the very end. And that was even with getting some luck from the refs. Ron Tolbert was working his magic in New England. So that kind of like, yeah. Oh my God, man. I'm glad other people are catching on. Like, cause
man.
I keep an eye on it every week because it's just the operation errors are the things that get me. They just don't know the rules of football. They just don't know them. It's insane to me. I can't believe they don't get punished. They got the game in Brazil. They got rewarded. So, but Laramie Tunsil thing's huge because he's supposed to be the linchpin of that offensive line, and he's above average, I'll say, but not elite like we think he is. He gets a lot of penalties. He hurts them as much as he helps them. The run game's dependent on Joe Mixon making plays right now. And if you never know if he's going to be healthy or not. I think he practiced this week. And Dameon Pierce, too, is back a little bit. That does help, but that turns it into like a 23rd best run game, not top half of the league that this offense has to be. Yeah, it's all Stroud all the time. And he does it without scrambling. It's just all pocket play, just being a baller from the pocket.
They're like one of the coolest red zone teams, again, for all the wrong reasons, because you're going to get Scott Hansen cutting into, and here's a crucial 3rd down for the Texans. It's 3rd and 13. What's CJ Stroud going to do? He's going to get the conversion about half the time. They're almost at 40, like almost 50% success rate on 3rd and 4th down. So,
which is crazy because it was like 9 yards to go on 3rd down. It's not easy for him. It's the highest difficulty scale that he's operating on. So
without Nico Collins now too.
Yeah, without Nico Collins, offense player of the year. Diggs is still looking good in that offense, but that's about it. It's not like Dalton Schultz is just there right now. Good kind of mention on the Packers defense is that I like really don't know where to stack them. I struggle with where to stack them because they get the turnovers. They get some pass rush, but it's not consistent. They can stop the run sometimes, but it's not consistent. So it's an inconsistent offense going inconsistent defense, but both make big plays. So it's kind of going to be one who can actually keep their head above water type of games. Also, Bobby Slowick is for sure an opening script merchant. I think the Texans were 4th in EPA per play in the first 15 plays. And I think they're 27th when they get outside the first 15 plays. So that is a thing. On the other side of the ball, the Packers offense makes me a lot happier. Not only just the quarterback, but just the entire offensive system. They're ascending. Looking at the stats, I like to look at. I kind of think their run game is like their run game is like fine. This is actually what the Texans need to get to. It's just an average-ish run game that they can rely on. But where they get their explosives at, which is a lot of fun watching this Packers game, is the receiver run game. Getting Jaden Reed going, getting Bo Melton going. They have 12 runs to receivers this year, which is third most in the NFL. They've gotten 134 yards on those, most in the NFL. That's 11 yards per play, highest rate in the NFL. They have 6 explosive runs on 12 receiver runs. So that's how they generate the explosives. You have to generate explosives somewhere. That's how they do it. Texans just rely on, getting in a game that's a slog, and then Joe Mixon gets someone, the guy runs a wrong hole. This is actual design and then players executing it. You're going against this Texas defense that's just built off the pass rush. Everybody knows. Like, I mean, we heard enough when going against the Patriots offensive line last week, and this is how they're built to win. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, get after the passer. Mario Edwards was playing fantastic, but got popped with PEDs. And then now Danico Autry comes back. So I always say swap that out.
The same thing.
Same thing. Who just got popped for the same thing. So yeah, they just alternate. I wonder who's going to come in for the last 6 weeks. Where I think this Packers offense can get after him some play action, which is Jordan Love is excellent in. They are 7th right now in EPA per play, off play action. They're tied with the Ravens. Texans are okay against it, like success rate wise. They just allow a lot of gashes. And that's the linebackers. That's Henry Toto trying to figure out where to go. That's them just going, Jalen Petrie can get a little excited and try and stop the run, so he can kind of be looking every which way. So that's how I think they're going to try and get after him. But it's a tougher defense to go against because of that pass rush, but the Packers have just like a lot of natural answers. They just because they're a well-designed team, and then they got this quarterback that just throws trick shots and gashes and doesn't care if you blitz them, and will scramble if you can, if they're going to run this man coverage. So I think it's a tough quarterback for this Texans defense to go against, and a tough offense because they're willing to run it enough. The Texans have been good against the run, better than I expected, but they're susceptible to gashes in the passing game and susceptible to scrambles when teams drop back and pass. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. I think it's going to be you're looking for the Jordan Love haymakers, which is what you look at anytime you watch this Packers offense. And I'm just really excited to watch Jaden Reed and the Texans. And so there's receiver runs is first thing, but the Texans are actually pretty good covering the slot, which actually surprised me because that's how Drake May and Pop Douglas got after him. And Jaden Reed, though, out of the slot, over 50% of his snaps are from the slot. 80% of his yards are from the slot. 15 receptions, 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, according to Next Gen Stats. Most yards in the NFL from the slot. Jordan Love has a perfect QB rating when he targets Jaden Reed in the slot. That's what I'm looking for. That's the pass game. It's kind of a strength on strength thing, but I think that's maybe what they go after on this side of the ball. Do you have any thoughts on the Packers offense or Texans defense?
I've been pretty impressed with the Texans defense over, it's called the past month. Like, I think, especially probably since like the Minnesota game, they've gotten it together a little bit. Because even when you start looking at some like just like overall efficiency numbers, they're like top 10 success rate, top 10 EPA per play, top 10 EPA per drop back. But I still think so much of that is just held together. Like, we got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, and most teams, you're not going to be able to block that for 4 quarters because someone's going to get loose or someone's going to cause the other guy to get open for pressure. And there's just a lot of havoc plays that can happen in the backfield. So to me, the Texans defense, though, I think what they're going to have to do is hope that Jordan Love just does something stupid and does a mistake, but those plays seem to be getting less and less frequent for Jordan Love as the plays as the season goes on. So if you're someone who like really cares about, offensive infrastructure around quarterbacks and how that can like help their development, this is kind of the game for you because you're going to get to see, here's what a good quarterback in a good offense looks like, and here's what a good quarterback in a bad offense looks like. I think that will be helpful. Hopefully, by the time draft season rolls around, we can point to one of these games and say, hey, when you're looking for a good quarterback in a bad offense, that's what it looks like, not what some of these other things that you're trying to push on us do. So I think that this is going to be a really fascinating game.
Who are you talking about there?
All draft Twitter for the most part.
Yeah, I know. But there was one prospect that I had in my mind that I'm thinking that you're talking about right now.
A million of them over the years. Oh my God. Yeah. Most of them didn't even do anything, but not to be, a highfalutin jerk.
Not to digress.
But no, I'm just saying the skill level on this game is just crazy, and you're going to see it for different reasons.
No, it's two of my. I keep saying this, but it's two of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. Period. Two of my favorite players to watch: Jordan Love and CJ Stroud. Like, period. These two are awesome, and just how they do it. Like Stroud is every quarterback coach's wet dream. He's so good. Like, it's so awesome watching him play quarterback. I love it. I wish I could just teach somebody to just go, like, watch this guy. Except also, like, it's fake how well he could throw a spiral no matter what. It's Warren Moon, Chris Leak are the other two guys that I could think of that are like that. Every throw.
I was just about to say, CJ Stroud, he's like the guy that's like, this is teach tape until someone goes out and tries to do it. Like,
and then you're like, oh, that's why we can't teach that. Yeah.
Can't teach all of this.
Have rare football IQ, rare spatial awareness, and then throw a perfect spiral on every play. And it's incredible. His first touchdown on the move against the Patriots was like,
oh God.
I know. And then Love's doing stuff too. Like he had the cover 0 touchdown against the Cardinals, and that's how he plays. You want to try and come after him, he's going to try to go after you. So that's why I'm excited, because I think there's going to be gashes. Drake May got after him, but you have to hang in there. I will say the Packers do a great job. If you're going to be a blitz team, like the Vikings went against them, they try to get the running backs out. So what the Texans like to do is that cover 1 blitz on 3rd down. The Packers are going to have an answer for that, but who's going to win against man coverage? And that's where should be the Packers' strength. We have all these options. So it's that side of the ball is a really fun matchup. I'm very excited to watch it because it's 2 good units, 2 fast units, 2 well-coached units, but both have ways you can pick at them. You have a prediction? What is it? Spreads, Packers, 2.5?
I mean, my Texans Bills pick was so damn bad at the end of the day.
Bills almost got there, though.
I know, but it just looks so terrible, you know?
Because we were like, oh, Texans got no shot. But we respect the Texans defense more now. Like, they have more answers than I thought maybe a couple weeks ago.
Josh Allen, in whatever brain state he was in, go 9 for 30, you get some props. You get some props. But I do think the Packers win this game. Just a more complete team. And I really do think that this Packers run defense versus Texans run offense, like that could be such a mismatch where even a quarterback like CJ Stroud, bro, you don't want to be 3rd and 9+ every single time you're out there. It's too tough. So I think the Packers defense will be able to put them in just enough like bad high leverage spots that can come out with the win.
Yeah, I think my biggest prediction is that there's going to be 6 throws from this game that we'll just see over and over on Twitter, and I'll be very happy about it. But I'm also going with the Packers at home. I think they also got like a little, I'm going to ask our guy Justice about this. Packers got a little home field advantage with guys slipping. Every other team going in Lambeau slips away and misses, and guys are just slip. And there's the Packers, Jordan Love bouncing around like nothing's going on. Wear the right cleats. So that's a big thing for the Texans. You have to wear the right cleats. It can't be the cool cleats. You have to wear the studs. That's how it goes. It's not fun. They aren't the cool shoes. They're the blocky shoes. I get it, but you have to wear them. So that's another thing. I am going to go with the Packers. I do think this is a fun game, but everything you talked about with that Texans side versus Packers side, Texans offense, Packers defense, that's going to be kind of all right, who doesn't F up more? That's kind of how it's going to go. So we are going to take a quick break after that very, very fun game. And we're going to get into more fun games after the break. See you guys in a second. All right, we are back. Moving on to one of the afternoon games, which is the Chiefs at the 49ers. 49ers are 1.5 point favorites, which means Vegas is kind of leaning a little Chiefs, just a little bit. This is a Super Bowl rematch from last year, Super Bowl rematch from a few years ago before that. Both Chiefs victories in those games. You have the Chiefs offense against the 49ers defense. I want you to take the lead on this I don't even know if it's juicy. It's kind of more of a death by efficiency side of the ball.
Like the Chiefs, the discussion around the Chiefs offense is, I understand why we're here. I really do. Because think about every other iteration of this offense that not every other iteration, the iteration that people fell in love with.
Yes.
Is the
Fireworks Factory.
Right. Fireworks Factory.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, peak Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you could score 100 points in every game if you just kept going. Obviously, things have changed. They're not that super duper explosive offense that they were in the past, but now they're just we'll just get 5 yards every play, and we'll see how far that can get us. And I think, like, obviously, you're doing something good when you are first in success rate. As
Right.
right.
That's the goal.
Yeah. First in success rate. They are one of 6 teams over 50% success rate on offense over the Lions, Ravens, Buccaneers, Rams, and Commanders. We're still unpacking that one. 19th EPA per play, 11th EPA per dropback. They're first in rushing success rate, but there are some like little walls you run into. Like I would say like if the football field was 80 yards, this would be the greatest offense on turf, right? And they get to the red zone, and they're 10th in overall red zone scoring rate, but they're 29th in red zone touchdown rate. So they're zooming down the field and they're kicking field goals, which is why the scoring, or not why, it's why the scoring output's down. It's why it feels worse, because you're just flat out not seeing this team score as many touchdowns as they used to. I mean, there's still good offense though.
Yeah.
You know, the goal of the game is to still get it to the red zone, so you're in a spot to score points. And luckily, on the flip side, on defense, they've got enough defense where you can weather some of the lower scoring outputs. But even then, there's no reason to be like concerned about this offense in a way that could they make the playoffs? Like, yeah, like this team can still win the Super Bowl, obviously. Oh, yeah. Like they're still probably the best team in the NFL.
Oh yeah, number one in my power rankings.
it's just not what people have been used to seeing, and people going, well, what's wrong with Patrick Mahomes? Nothing's wrong with Patrick Mahomes.
Nope.
He's doing what's being asked of him, and you should kind of be impressed because we're seeing that he's a quarterback that doesn't really have any holes in this game in terms of what kind of offense that you could potentially run with Patrick Mahomes. Like you want to throw it deep and be, the EPA monsters that they were in like the 2018, 2019 stretch. You can do that. If you want to be this team that throws, 5 yards at a time, but you're completing it just about every single time, and you're moving down the field and you're running the ball for 5 yards a pop, that's fine too. To me, it's just how do you get more touchdowns in the red zone, which I kind of think it might be something that evens itself out as the season goes along. I don't think you're going to be able to hold Patrick Mahomes to like a bottom 5, red zone offense in terms of touchdowns per trip. That just doesn't seem likely to me. I did find one stat that actually really did make me chuckle though with the Chiefs running game. I think that this kind of like encapsulates where they are.
I hope it's the same one I got. I'm excited.
So like I said, they are first in rushing success rate.
But
they are dead last by a mile in terms of rushes that go 10 yards or more, 3.1%. I'm like, dude, so you were just living, you're living every play, 5 to 7 yards,
5 yards.
5 to 7 yards, boom, 5 to 7 yards, boom, which I can say, like, that's a really frustrating way to defend on defense because we know for a lot of times, like, we know what's coming and we also know it's going to be in front of us, but we still can't stop it and they're still moving down the field. So they can just figure out how to convert those trips into touchdowns in the red zone. I think a lot of our complaints about the Chiefs offense are going to look silly.
It's a straight jab offense. It's just, they have, so even you went the 10-yard cutoff. So like explosive run is technically 12 and they have 0 explosive running back runs, 0, but they are, like you said, one of the most efficient run games. And it's not fake. I just studied it, wrote about it this week. It's a very real run game. They ate their Wheaties this offseason, their vegetables. They cut out all the outside stretch stuff and they started just doing everything inside. They say, who are our best linemen? Oh, our interior 3. We should just run behind them every single time. There you go. That really helped the run game out a lot. And then Mahomes, I kind of, when I wrote about this, I said, why bend over backwards and do something crazy if the defense is going to let you get 6 yards? Like, why do it? Like, if your quarterback can operate this way, and he can, because Mahomes is a genius, why change it up? Why try to, all these hard plays down the field or harder routes with mediocre receivers or pass catchers as we think they are? Well, it's working because they can stay in third and manageable. And even Mahomes is scrambling a little bit more on third down, but it's not like last year was 3rd and 11, 3rd and 9. Just think, everything that the Chiefs went through last year is kind of what the Texans kind of going through right now. The Chiefs had a little bit more answers in the passing game, but they just kept getting these 3rd and longs because their run game sucked so bad last year. But Mahomes, it was another thing I noticed too, is this is why you have to unbucket runs and passes, our man Griff. You have to unbucket these. is they run so many bubbles because the bubbles are part of their run game, which if they handed all those off, their run rate would be even higher. But they're just making defenses like they're playing this simple, efficient offense. And then everyone's just really scared of going like, well, we're not going to let Patrick beat us. We're not going to let Mahomes beat us. All right, we'll take 5 yards. All right, we'll take 8 yards. All right, we'll take 6 yards. And I think it's working. But like you said, get a little bit better in the red zone. Mahomes has done it before. And Andy Reid usually has a fever dream offense in the red zone. So I think they'll figure it out. Going against this 49ers defense, I think they actually have some answers because they like using all the tight ends. And the 49ers struggle against that. They also can have some play action looks out of that. So I do think they have some natural answers going against that defense. You also got Andy Reid coming out of a bye week. He's 21-4 after a regular season bye week, 20-2 when the opponent played the previous week, and 5-1. Although the 49ers have a mini bye. They got the Thursday night game, so I don't know if that counts. But 20-2 when the opponent played the previous week, 5-1 with Mahomes as a starting quarterback. Only loss was last year though. It's the Eagles. So
wow.
Not back when I was gambling. That one hurt. I don't remember that game. That one hurt. Yeah. But go to the other side though. This 49ers offense is Kyle Shanahan's going to make it work. Doesn't matter who's back there at running back. This is the whole Shanahan shtick. They're going to make the run game work. It's just that it's not explosive run game. That is what the element of this offense that they've lost, and that's Christian McCaffrey. I mean, obviously that when you lose a 99 overall player, that's going to hinder the thing that he's best at, which right now is the run game, the explosive plays in the run game, and then that's their red zone scoring. They're the other team that's been struggling in the red zone. We've talked about it, but that's really just CMC. Like him not being there changes the whole operation when they want to throw the ball down there. So when they get inside the 10, it becomes a totally different thing. So you might get a lot of field goals in this game. But I'm curious if that 49ers offense does if it sticks with Isaac Guerendo, the rookie running back, who is a boom bust running back. I know him from Wisconsin, and then he transferred to Louisville. He needs a runway to get going. So this offense needs explosive plays, but you also don't want to get in 3rd and long against Spags. So does Patrick Taylor come onto the field and keep them efficient, keep them, the heads above water? They can run the ball on them, but what's different about this Chiefs defense that we've seen last year when they became like a top 5, top 6 defense, and now this year, they don't let up explosive plays. They just don't. I had a fun stat on this one. Where the hell is it? My freaking beautiful mind notes. Not this year. They've allowed an explosive pass. They've yet to allow an explosive pass this year when they're in base. And they've only allowed 2 explosive runs. That is usually how you get after Spags. Get our big bodies, get 21 personnel, 12 personnel out there, fullbacks and tight ends, make them nice and simple, and then run the ball and we can pop one. They're just not letting that happen right now. So that's something that's just kind of interesting to me. That is are what the 49ers are going to bet on. Are we going to keep chucking it? Are we going to try and drop back? Our offensive line's been a little bit okay. Trent Williams has gotten banged up before. The pass protection's a little iffy. So it's really going to be a Purdy. It's going to have to scramble a little bit. Purdy's going to have to make some big plays. And it's going to be really interesting because in the past, the Chiefs have showed so many answers, and Spags has showed so many answers against Shanahan offenses. These are the offenses he tees off against. They used all the condensed splits. So you see all the corner blitzes and all the funky stuff. Yeah, I don't know. They have their number in the past, but it's the regular season. It's not playoff Spags. So that's another thing too. So I'm curious of what the new answer is for Shanahan. He's got the little mini bye, like I said. If there's a new layer with the injuries that they have and with their running backs, is it more Debo touches? Does Ayuk get going now? Is it a Kittle game? That I'm curious of what their answers are going to be. They'll find one, but it's always hard against Spags. What's your prediction for this game?
I think the Chiefs win actually, and I think they kind of handle business here. It feels crazy, but when I look at these teams, I just think the Chiefs, as much as people want to get down on visually what they're seeing, this is still the best team in the NFL. And even they're going on the road, right, to San Francisco.
Yeah,
that's not like a real obstacle anymore for when you have Patrick Mahomes and you have Andy Reid. Like that's just another football game. I think they handle business. I think the Chiefs offense, again, just mows them down because this is not the 49ers defense from the past where you're getting not only top 5 offense on the other side, but you're also getting like damn near historical defensive play on the other side. This is a quality defense with some good players, but they can be beat. And the last thing I have on the Chiefs offense is, when you start looking at the totality of Andy Reid's run as the Chiefs head coach, that stint where he had Tyreek at its peak with Mahomes, that's pretty much become the anomaly of how he's actually called this offense. That's not really what this has been for the most part. That was like a 2 or 3 year stretch, and the rest has been this for the most part.
Even with Deshaun Jackson back in the day with the Eagles, that was just occasional shot plays. This is his operation. This is the Andy Reid offense. It's West. This is like, if you ever want to like close your eyes and picture a West Coast offense, like a real West Coast offense, this is it.
Cheeseburgers and Hawaiian shirts, baby.
Yeah, it's. You guys mac and cheese recipe still?
Yeah, I do. I still do.
Did you say it was amazing too?
It is amazing, but I was also like 24, and it's also very expensive. So I've only made it one time.
Okay. That's yeah, that's funny. He can make it weekly. The 49ers will always find answers. But it's a top 10 offense and not a top 1 offense. It's not a juggernaut right now. It's a good offense. But the Chiefs defense is good, like really good. And that's why I think I agree with you. They're the best team to me. They have Mahomes. They have a good offensive line who are allowing the lowest pressure rate that Mahomes has ever had as a starter. They're running the ball better than they ever have. And they have, Spags and Andy Reid. Like, I'm not betting against that, no matter who the pass catchers are. That's a formula to win. God, they have turned really into the Patriots, where it's like everyone's like, nope, this is the year. This is the year. And it's like, nope, they just find a new answer. So I'm also going with the Chiefs. But I'm really excited for this game because mostly scheme stuff, because Shanahan's already shown some cool stuff. Like he had, sorry to do a little scheme one right here. Last week, he did a trap draw with Debo in an offset position. So he motioned him to offset, and then it ran a draw and then had Kittle trap it. And that was a new one for me. that was okay. You're still throwing in some new stuff. So they'll find answers, but curious which ones they are. So.
I saw random while we're still on run game stuff. This is not related to this game at all, but I saw.
Speak to me, baby.
There was a clip from the Falcons Panthers game this past weekend where they had Charlie Warner motion inside, on a gap run and block 3 technique, the tight end. Then he kicks up to the second level and blocks the linebacker. I was like, ooh, that's the stuff that gets me going. You can keep the pass coverage stuff. That's what I want to see.
Those 6-yard gains. That's why I did the Chiefs breakdown, and it was just all 5-6 yard gains, and I'm just like, ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. Look at that double team. Oh, yeah. Fall forward, Carson Steele. Yeah, there we go. That's another 5-yarder. I think that stuff's much more exciting than just another little 8-yard out route. 1-on-1. We didn't like mid-90s basketball. We like the space and pace stuff. That's what the run game is. Right. It's motion and movement and everything. So I'm with you on that. All right, going into another AFC NFC battle, another kind of 2 teams doing well right now. We have the Ravens going to Tampa Bay. The Bucs are 3.5-point underdogs at home on Monday Night Football, the non-ESPN Plus one, the main primetime one, because Chargers and Cardinals got ESPN Plus, which
I'm protesting that one.
They truly said, "Here you go, sickos," and I'm like,
I'm not. You could have caught me 6 weeks ago paying for Cardinals, but not anymore.
No, you're not. No.
Get some dudes on defense. We'll come back, ESPN.
Right. I said after the bye, I'm going to check back in on them, but that's in a couple of weeks. So you are going to be starting off with the Ravens offense against this Bucs defense. Chuck, what you got on that side of the ball?
When I was on my way into the office today, we've in our little group chat, we've been passing them back and forth a bunch of old songs, with the old rap songs, old rock songs. I was listening to my playlist from when I was in 5th or 6th grade. And
is that what's going on?
Yeah, that's what started it. Because
you had the Carter 2 in there, right? And
it started as a music project, mapping samples back and forth through the eras, and then it just turned into me listening to stuff. But I was listening to Ludacris, Move, B, Get Out the Way, and I was like, that's the Ravens offense. Get out the way, bro. Move, get out the way, or you're going to get hurt, bro. Because that's what they've decided to become. And it's what they've always wanted to be with Lamar Jackson, but they've reached the purest nirvana form of get the absolute hell out my way before you get hurt by signing Derrick Henry. And I also got to say, back in August, I said worst offensive line in football. Definitely not the worst offensive line in football. Not at all.
Very passable.
Still room to improve, but in the run game, dude, like they have gotten so much better, and they're straight up mashing people. So I mean, the run game's where you have to start. And this is like even before you get to how Lamar's performing as a passer. No team has generated more EPA on design rushes than the Ravens. In the second half alone, they have a 53% success rate running the ball. They're first in yards per carry before contact, at 3 yards per carry before contact. They're fourth in yards per carry after contact. I mean, they are just bullying people off the ball. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Like it's so funny because you sometimes we try to complicate football to a degree where, you know, we've got all these scientific formulas and we're moving people around. And the Ravens said, no, like we are going to get the biggest, strongest, fastest running back of this era. And we have a quarterback who is like, of all of his mobile quarterback precedents that have gotten to this point, he's easily like the most advanced one that we've seen up to this point. And the offensive line has gotten so much better. So this is just a 1 + 1 = FU moment for the Ravens, where they are just steamrolling people every single time they get the ball almost. I've been a little bit surprised at how quickly they've been able to get this under order and say, no, like our offensive line was bad. We had your tragic passing of our offensive line coach pass before the season started. We've got a new running back. We've got some new players in here. No, this has all come together in such a way that now they're unequivocally one of the best offenses in the sport. Lamar Jackson's having another MVP season under his belt. Potentially could have 3 MVPs by the time the season's over. There's no voter fatigue. And not only are they running the ball well, but like they're playing the style of passing that's fun when you can run the ball. They are 6th in air yards per attempt. They're like 30 EPA per drop back. Right. So we're smashing the ball and we're chucking it. That's beautiful football. Like that's what this is supposed to be. And I don't really see that stopping this week against Tampa Bay, because outside of Vita Vea, who you got that's going to get in here and get their nose dirty and actually hit someone? I know Levante David, mentality-wise, like that's not an issue, but he's not the same player that he used to be. You know, it's just it's tough. So I would expect the Ravens to score a whole lot of points.
I think so too. I was trying to find an angle for the Bucs defense. I was just kind of glancing at the side of the ball. So my good old sex rate, I'm going to call it SPE rate, success plus explosive play rate. Bucs are dead last when they're base personnel. And that matters because they match base to base, meaning when the other team puts tight ends and fullbacks on the field, they match it. The Ravens have run 265 plays with 2 or fewer receivers on the field. The league average is 124. So almost double, more than double. And I think there's only 3 or 4 teams over 200, and they're at 265. They pass the ball out of it. They run the ball out of it. They're explosive. They're first in EPA per play out of these looks. So they run the most of these looks, and they have the best expected points added out of these looks. And then they're playing against a Bucs team that this has always been how you get after bowls. It's the same thing with Spags. Yeah, I know I sound like a broken record with this stuff, but this is the thing. This is what coaches look at every week. So this is why I bring it up too, and you bring it up every week too. But the Bucs are not good out of base. Like you said, Vea is good. He'll have a little bit of a size matchup, not a little bit, a lot of bit of a size matchup against Tyler Linderbaum. But the thing is, the linebackers are just not there. You can chuck it on them. They've allowed an explosive pass on a quarter of those dropbacks out of base. And that's how the Ravens attack. They're just going to, like you said, bludgeon you. And then Lamar chucked a dig route. And the wind in that game in Baltimore was a little bit more than I expected. I didn't realize that. I kind of saw with the flag. He threw a dig route like 25 yards on a line. And the DB made a decent play on it, but I couldn't believe that he just threw it in rhythm, and the thing didn't even just cut through the wind. Didn't even move or split sides. That was great little 3D. Me towards the camera right there. I know. I didn't even mean to do that. It was like a 3D movie. I know. But yeah, and it's just, that's what he can do. He can chuck it over the middle. That's like you said, he's different than most running quarterbacks, and he's always been underappreciated with it, that he could just sit back there. It looks like a Wisconsin offense. It does. I formations, tight ends, fullbacks. All right. And then we're going to chuck it deep. And what happens when you go bully ball defenses load the box, and now you got one-on-one with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, who are cooking guys right now. It's not easy. It's not easy to go against. And then they put Nelson Aguilar in. He's a great dirty work guy. They give Justice Hill in there. He does a lot of great things. So you got a guy that might be the leader in MVP with a great run game and like just cool designs that aren't, I mean, nothing crazy, but just some really cool stuff Todd Monken's doing. So
they're so tough to stop. Like
they're so hard.
They're so tough to stop in the second half too, because like when they get the lead and they can sit on the ball. I remember I played with a running back in college, and he used to be like, man, I love it late in the game when they're stacking the box. I was like, man, what are you talking about? Like, that sounds like pain to me. Yeah. He was like, no, because if I can make one guy miss, I'm gone.
Yep.
And that's what happens. Right. Yes. That's what happens with the Ravens, right?
Yep.
Because you're sitting, okay, we're down by 10.
Yep.
We know that we
gotta
know
get Henry down. We got to get him down. Yep.
But and it's no secret. We know for a fact they're going to run the ball, and they're going to just turn it back and just hand it to Derrick Henry and let him get behind a 300-pound fullback and mash you. But once Derrick Henry, if they can get to the second level, we've seen it a bunch of times this season, whether it's the Buffalo game or some of these games that they've closed recently. If he can get past the second level in the heavy box, it's gone, because no one can catch him and no one can tackle him. So that's what's made it so difficult for them to just like, for defense to just get him off the field, because they're good at the thing that everyone knows that they're going to do. And that's impossible really to stop.
Okay. All we have to do is hit his fastball. All right. But he throws 103. All right. We got to hit it though. That's it. It's like, okay, all he throws is a fastball. Okay, can you hit it? I don't know. Like that's what you feel like going against this team. And the other thing is when they put big bodies on the field, then you got a bunch of linebackers and defensive ends trying to tackle Lamar.
Right. Then like, they boot it out the other way.
Like, have fun. Yeah. Going to the other side of the ball, the Bucs offense is actually cooking. So it is. And the Ravens defense is allowing a lot of cooking, passing game wise. They are good stopping the run. The Bucs found some guys to run the ball. Bucky Irvin, Sean Tucker, who apparently likes to say his own name as well. Yep. I one time tweeted Sean Tucker runs like his name is Sean Tucker. And someone goes, he'll probably say the same thing. And I was like, ha. I didn't know it was a meme that he says that. Like he says his name in the third person. So Rachaad White is coming back. Our guy, Graham Barton, is coming back. Low-key hoss fight. That Bucs O-line. It's looking decent right now. It's looking pretty good. So low-key hoss fight here. They could get after him a little bit, but they got to tackle the Ravens defense. They're going to throw plenty of screens to Chris Godwin. The two quarterbacks throwing the most receiver screens are Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. And Mahomes's are more the bubbles. Baker and the Bucs are those straight, smoke screens to Chris Godwin, who has just been. Did you see his stiff arm last week?
Oh yeah,
he put the guy through the turf. I love Chris Godwin. And he's playing great. Evans didn't practice today or yesterday, so keep an eye on that. But that's, you never know with him. He's a vet, so they might just be doing that. They're a good offense. It's not always perfect, but Baker's going to give him chances. He's going to have some moments where he gives the ball away, but this Ravens defense is allowing chances when you chuck the ball. So I think that's what it's going to be. Can they stop them from those 50-50 balls? Easier said than done. You got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin out there, and Sterling Shepard apparently partying like it's 2015. So we got that going back there too. So yeah, that's one side I am going to look at. I think the Ravens will stop their run game fairly well, but I think they will allow some explosive passes. So I think there's going to be some fireworks in this game, but it's both sides, and it's whether they can keep up. Like I said before, the Bucs are 3.5-point favorites or underdogs, I should say. What is your prediction for this game?
I think the Ravens run off the field, honestly. I know that I really do think that the Bucs can have a chance to score, get some points, but I don't know. It's just tough, because I think this Ravens offense is almost as big of a weapon for their defense, especially right now as they're still trying to figure things out, because that's an offense that could truly just sit on the ball and say, nope, keep away.
And the Ravens too, like I made a big deal about how many, big personnels they're using. They can get an 11 and do the same thing. So it's not like, Lamar can chuck it. Like he can drop back. The offensive line, that's what you get worried about. But, he can sit back there and chuck it. You don't want to blitz him too much because he can scramble. Like that's why that's the scary part about blitzing Lamar. And also he'll chuck it deep. So they have natural answers, which is always like, they don't have to change their game. They're efficient. They're explosive. It's one of the best offenses in the league. Bucs are have some leakiness there. So I'm also with you with the Ravens, but I think there'll be some fireworks in this game. I'm pretty excited to watch. All right. We are going to take one last break, and then we're going to come back with our Haas fight of the week and then one mailbag question. See you guys in a sec. All right. Black and blue division with a black and blue team, actually. The Lions at the Vikings, US Bank Stadium. It's an early game. I'm very fired up for this game. The Vikings are 1.5 point favorites at home. Our Haas fight of the week as well. There's several Haas fight potentials in this week, but we're going to go with this one. It felt right going into this division. But Charles, when the Vikings offense and your boy Sam Darnold have the football, what are you checking out?
Okay.
Is this another Darnold rant?
No, well, yes, kind of, because I was, sometimes the season, it can go by so fast. There's so much going on that when a team takes a bye week, sometimes like I'll forget a little bit in my head what they look like. Right. So actually this morning before I got to the office, I skimmed through like the Vikings offensive snaps versus the Jets that they had in that London game. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so out on this right now because Sam was awful in that game. He was terrible. Like
a lot of scary plays in that game.
Yeah, a lot of scary plays. And even the plays that weren't scary, like they just weren't ending up close to anyone. So like I know that they got by and they won that game, but I was just like, oh my God, like dude, if they're getting back to like the mean on Sam Darnold, that's kind of scary to me. And then I started looking at just some like the rate stats in terms of like their play calling, and I was a little surprised to see that they're just kind of like above average in terms of play action rate and what they're calling, because it felt like, when I'm going back and I'm watching some of these games, so many of the big plays are coming in off of play action, or like you're either in play action, or if it's not play action, it's Sam like doing some stuff in the margins on non-Justin Jefferson targets, doing stuff in the margins, like right where, there's almost like some survivor bias coming with some of the throws that he's making. But at the same time, I still believe in the offensive infrastructure.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad you got to that point. All right.
Right. And this is a good offense. But the last time that I watched this offense, I was like, oh, that's why you no one wants Tim Darnold to be your starting quarterback, because a game like that is possible. But luckily, they have the defense to survive performances like that. They should still be able to run the ball. Offensive line is still solid. You still got Justin Jefferson. So, like, you have answers to some of the questions that I have after that Jets game. But, man, if that's going to be where your quarterback play is, or if that's like, if let's say like the top of the season was the peak of Sam Darnold, and then that Jets game was basically the low area of Sam Darnold, and you're going to be made in the middle, that's a little scary to me as far as like long-term prognostication goes. But against the Lions defense, that could go like one of either ways, because we've seen them have situations where they're not great, from a down-to-down perspective. And then you watch this Cowboys game where, Terran Arnold looks like Darrelle Revis damn near out there. And no one's getting
Branch
open.
Is making great plays.
Right.
He's a great player, but just making great plays. Yeah.
So where I get scared in this game is I know Justin Jefferson's going to eat because he's Justin Jefferson. I don't care who's on him. He's going to get something done. But when you start looking at the rest of the skill position, especially the wide receivers versus like the Lions DBs, that seems like an advantage towards where the Lions are right now. And if I get Sam Darnold in the game where he's going to be happy to be making tight window throw after tight window throw after tight window throw, I get a little concerned about where that could go. But at the same time, I still do trust Kevin O'Connell to try and like limit his impact on the game, because I know Kevin's probably watching that last game and saying, whoa, we should probably scale this back a little bit, because not all of those passes are just going to end up incomplete or hit the turf. Some of them are going to end up in the hands of defenders. And I would be interested to see if this is a game where maybe they decide to crank up the play action usage just a little bit more. Maybe you don't need to quite as much because Aiden Hutchinson's out, so you're not dealing with quite as much on the pass rush side, and you can just run more straight dropbacks. But I still think after what I just watched this morning, and this is probably just overreaction, maybe just make the screen a little bit cleaner for for Sam, make the picture a little clearer so he's not putting the ball in harm's way.
I always appreciate O'Connell's like willing to stay aggressive, but sometimes you gotta save your players from themselves. Like it's like Sam Darnold's like, okay, I've been struggling. You want me to stay aggressive? Sure. And it's like, okay, let's maybe keep it safe for him. Screen, QB draw, something of that sort. No, I'm with you. That I do think that's I kind of jinxed it. I was like, well, we haven't had the Sam blow up game yet. And then he literally, those words came out of my mouth, and then he has the blow up game in London. I was like, oh, great. But like you said, that like, if that's the floor, all right.
Could be worse.
Yeah, could be worse. And he can make some high end plays still, but it's just that you have to survive the 3 bad plays. That's Sam Darnold experience. You have to survive those 3. He's now on a team that can, that Vikings defense and everything. I'm curious if they just keep running man coverage. Like, are you going to dare to man up Justin Jefferson? In the past, Aaron Glenn has kind of tweaked their attack, done a little bit of cover 2 in there, some 2-man. Has been a thing for them where they're, so they get 2 eyeballs on Justin Jefferson. So one of my favorite Kirk Cousins throws is when, I think it was a couple of years ago, he just kept saying like, screw it. It was just thrown to Justin Jefferson no matter what the coverage was. And it was kind of like, yeah, I'm never teaching that because he's triple covered there. But all right, there you go. That's what you have to do. So I'm curious if they run that. If you do run 2-man, no eyes on the quarterback. Is this a Sam Darnold scramble game? And get some more of his legs. He is a good scrambler, just hasn't had to do it too much yet. So that is something I'm keeping an eye on. The Vikings run game is solid, but the Lions run defense has been good. Aleem McNeil got paid. Yeah, a football 301 favorite. Congrats to Aleem McNeil getting a bag. But even Aiden Hutchinson out, I still think they got the horses to stop the run. But like you said, if they can't get the pressure to heat them up, that makes it a little iffy. But I think McNeil and some of the interior guys can create some pressure on the Vikings' weakness is that interior of their offensive line. So, yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I'm curious who blinks first. That's kind of one of those. Does Aaron Glenn go, all right, we're not letting Jefferson beat us. All right, make Sam Darnold find other guys. We're going to run man on everybody else. We'll double Jefferson. Addison's got to beat us. Naylor's got to beat us. Like, that is what I'm curious about. Good call on the play action stuff, too. That's kind of...
Yeah. If I was Aaron Glenn, I honestly might give my guys a chance. Like, we'll bracket.
I would too.
We'll bracket Dust and then fight for your lives. We draft you high for a reason,
Right. This is why you get drafted in the first round. You got to do this stuff. It's not like he's going. It's not like number 18's going away.
Right.
Like if you're Terrion Arnold, if you're good and have a long career, you're going to see him literally the rest of your career. So might as well get your feet wet early because they're not going to shy away. The other side of the ball is really fun. The Lions offense, Vikings defense. This is a great game. I broke it down on NFL Network this morning, which was fun. But the Vikings are one of the most blitz happy teams. We all know that, Brian Flores. The Lions are the best team against the blitz, whatever rate you want to look at. EPA, sex rate, all the stuff. They are the best offense against the blitz. It's because they're sound. They have a good offensive line that's seen every look. They have Ragnow and Goff, get them set. David Montgomery is fantastic in protection. They have Penei Sewell blocking 2 guys at once. And then Ben Johnson will line these guys up and take shot plays on it. And then even run game wise, stop me if you heard this before, but the Lions are really good at running duo. And the Vikings defense, not very good defending duo. So that's how you kind of wad it up and make it clean. But like legit, Lions are the best team, success rate wise, running duo. They're first, and 60% of their duo runs are successful. 60%. Only been stuffed on 3.3% of their duo runs, which is the lowest rate in the league. So it's just positive yards, which is so important against this Vikings defense because you don't want to get in 3rd and long. Because then they just make it hell for you. Even if the Lions do have answers, you don't want to live that way. It's against any blitzing defense. But I think this is going to be a great execution matchup. The Vikings are coming off a bye. Are they adding new layers on defense? Like, they see this too. The Lions also have some tells. Jahmyr Gibbs, if he's in the game, he ain't pass protecting. It's 5-man protection or they're running the ball. So Brian Flores with 6 weeks of film, does he kind of go, okay, it's a divisional matchup. They faced each other before. So that there's some interesting things. Sam Laporta gets hidden a little bit blocking. So that's another thing you maybe want to attack, put on maybe a beefier guy on him. So I think this Lions offense is the best equipped offense to go against this Vikings defense, but still you have to execute. They've done it. but you still got to do it. And that's what's cool about Brian Flores. He goes, all right, do it. All right, you got us there. Do it again. All right, you got us there. Do it again. And I love that. I love when the coaches are like that because let's prove it. This is a good game.
If there was a way to, it's simple. Like when you start breaking it down to the point where like if there was a way to beat a really complex defense that's throwing a bunch of looks at your quarterback, we're just gonna get under center. We're gonna mow you off the ball, and we're gonna try to keep it clean because honestly, the only poison pill that I really see for at least personnel wise for the Lions offense is like if Jared Goff is stuck in these 3rd and longs, which I don't really see happening, but like if it does happen, that's where Brian Flores can kill him because that to me that's the exact type of quarterback that Brian Flores can get. One that's not going to scramble. He's going to need everything to be clean in front of him, and that's when you can kind of get a quarterback like Jared Goff. But obviously, much easier said than done getting the Lions to 3rd and long.
And you're talking about like, making it easier if they're going to move so much. Like if the other side of the ball is going to be funky and move everybody, you want to move less. So that's why I love duo is that there's no polars, there's nothing. It's straight ahead. So that's why it's good against a team that wants to slant and blitz a guy and move another guy and drop another guy off. You just mow him down. Just mow. I don't care where we move. We're going straight and we're going to shove you down. It's same, but on the other side, if you're playing a bunch of motion and all that stuff, what have defenses been doing? Quarters, cover 2. Nope, we're going to just play it safe back here. We're not moving because you guys are doing all the moving. So this is just the run game version of that. It was outside zone. Now it's duo, which is A-okay for me. Prediction? Vikings 1.5 point home favorites?
Whew, that's tough.
I know.
This is the only one I don't really have.
They jumped me with that question on NFL Network, and I panicked. I was like, Vikings. Shoot, I just broke down the Lions for 15 minutes.
I think I'll go Lions just as a head nod too. Yeah, you just won by 40 points on Sunday. I don't really feel strongly as who could win, but I will be locked in this game for sure.
Great scheme game. Tons of good players in this. I gonna go with the Vikings, but that's only because they're at home. But I do think this is going to be such a good game, and I'm very excited for this one. And it's a morning game, which is great too, noon Central Time. So that is it for our game breakdowns. We are going to get to a mailbag question right now, which was in a review. You want to jump the line questions, leave a review. That's what we're doing. That's the VIP system here. It's like Disney World.
Welcome to the club, baby.
This is the fast pass. But yes, leave a 5-star review. The question will give you priority. So this is from UJR616. It is not football related. This is just life. What are your favorite Marvel and DC movies? I have too many. I was trying to narrow it down. But Charles, what are your favorite Marvel and DC movies?
Hate me for this take.
Honestly. Oh, no.
But of the MCU movies, I have 2 that are tied at the top. And it's just meat brain or, meathead, just dumb guy.
I'm trying to think where you're going with this.
The Hulk movie with...
The one-off Hulk movie?
Okay, it's not a one-off. It's not a one-off because it's kind of a sequel to the Eric Bana movie from 2003 because at the end of that one, he ends up in Brazil. And where did they start this one? In Brazil. Yeah, in Brazil. So, and I love that movie as a kid solely for the scene when they're in Eric Bana's house and he's like, no, like, please, like, stop hitting me. Like, I'm about to get angry. Well, like, you get him angry and he starts to get big and they shoot him one time and the bullet bounces off his skin and he goes insane. And I love it for that part. And I thought the sequel was good too. The second one that I absolutely love, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, to me is just a masterpiece.
Such a good movie.
And I also feel dumb for saying Rocket is like a top 3 MCU character for me. I think he's hilarious.
That's a good call. I like that.
Okay. Well, yeah, Hulk and Rocket, and then I got to figure out the third. But there's a scene in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie where they, like, after they break out of the prison and they're kind of like milling around the galaxy the first time, they all go to a bar or a club, and Rocket's drinking something, and I don't remember exactly what the context is, but he has like this laugh that he emits that makes me like cry laugh every single time I see it. Like, I'm going to have to watch the movie tonight so I can clip it up for you and send it to you. It's this 2-second segment where he is laughing and it sends me into hysterics every time. And if we're going to go out, MCU, Venom, awesome movie. Don't care what anyone says.
I like it. No, they're great. They're great.
No, because people be like, oh, that wasn't a good movie. It's a buddy cop film. It's not a superhero movie.
Embrace those are schlock in a good
It's
way.
schlock,
But they know they're schlock.
Yes.
And that's, yes, it's like a Carpenter movie. No, it's like they know it's a B movie. And that is it. Once you know it, they're not acting like they're changing the world. It's not an Avengers movie. It's just supposed to be a fun buddy cop movie. I love those movies. I forgot that the third one's coming out soon. My favorite MCU movie, which is actually the first movie my wife and I saw together, which was Thor Ragnarok. And we'll watch a lot of snooty movies. And Thor Ragnarok was our first movie. Love that one. That opening scene onwards, I was like, oh, we're going comedy. Oh, and it works. And the director, Taika Waititi, I really like him. But Captain America Winter Soldier, I actually really like. I really like that one. I like all the Captain America movies. Well, we're going, all right, so this isn't so much MCU. We'll go to other Marvel. Take a little right turn here. The Spider-Man animated movies.
Oh, yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. Love them. 5 stars. Oh, the first one was one of the most and that's what first one I saw. We had just been fired by the Raiders, or we and I was just, and I saw that movie. It made me so happy when I really needed some happiness. And so I have a special place in that movie. Also Spider-Man 2. I like that one a lot. The original Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Sam
With
Raimi,
Dr. Octopus?
Tobey Maguire. Yes. Doc Ock, which one of my favorite scenes in any superhero movie ever is the Doc Ock coming alive scene.
Yes.
Because it becomes like an Evil Dead scene with Sam Raimi. That it's a horror movie. Like the women screaming or clawing and stuff. Yeah. Love that scene. Blade.
What'd you say?
Blade. You ever seen the first Blade?
Yes.
The only Blade.
I was just thinking when you said the Dr. Octopus thing, some of these villain reveals, they still hit. Because the other night I was watching Revenge of the Sith, and when Darth Vader comes up on the table and takes that breath for the first time, I'm like, that still goes crazy. 20 years later, that goes crazy.
Just ignore the no afterwards.
Yeah. Forget that part. But that part still goes crazy. We are also 30-year-old men with careers and money, and you have a family. We'll see. But hey, we're still firmly attached to our childhood at some point. It's good for you.
Otherwise, I have like 5 more. X-Men 2, great. X2 is phenomenal. I'll watch that once a year. I haven't
seen that movie in so long.
Oh, it's so good.
My dad had the
holds
DVDs
up.
of all the X-Men movies.
Because it's a Marvel movie, but it's not an MCU movie. So it's just a different tone, and it's like darker, and I love X-Men. Like that was my entry into Marvel more than anyone. Logan, also great one. Oh, and then if we go DC, it's all Batman. Dark Knight, the Batman, which I usually have my poster, which I consider as a peer to Dark Knight, which some people consider blasphemous.
No, it's a peer. It's a peer for sure.
I love the Batman, and then Batman Returns with Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Yeah, that one's a good one. That was I was 5 years old, I think, when I saw that originally. I was like, what is this? When Penguin's biting a guy's nose. That still stuck out with me. But now as an adult, really, really like it.
And now as an adult, it makes a lot of sense. Why? Of course Danny DeVito's biting someone's nose. Like, of course he is.
I know. Now I know what Danny DeVito is. I'm the trash man. Yeah. You're a Sunny guy, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about to go watch the episode where he
I
covers
watched
himself
it
in hand sanitizer and shaves his body when I go home.
Just hiding in the couch, come out all sweaty. That was another one. Oh, man. Well, that was fun. That was great. On Tuesday, Matt will be back joining me to recap these games and maybe do some other stuff. I am Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice. Where can they find you, Charles McDonald?
You can find me on Twitter at 4verts. I will be making fun of Sean Payton no matter the result of the Broncos Saints game later. So, that game will be on or over by the time you listen to this. But I can promise you, the hysterics will not be.
No. I love Thursday Night Football. I love Thursday Night Football Twitter. Like it truly, because it's all of us in media are just letting loose. Like we're all like done with our chunk of our weeks, and we get to take a deep breath. And you can tell some people are loose on there. So I always enjoy that, especially when we get a nice schlocky game like this tonight, which should be interesting. But if you want to hear more answers from us, send in your mailbag questions. Football301mailbag at yahoosports.com, or leave us a review, 5-star review. Leave a little question there. Jump the line. or throw me a question on Twitter. Oscar Bobo asked me another question about tight ends. We will get to that one in the future. Subscribe to us, follow us, rate us 5 stars, hopefully. Watch us on YouTube, on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. Follow Yahoo Sports on Snapchat as well. Thanks to Brett, Stone, and Adi behind the scenes for making us look good and sound good, hopefully. But enjoy your weekend. Enjoy a great slate of games that we have. Enjoy college football if you're watching that. Enjoy Thursday night, Friday night, every night of this weekend. Thank you for listening. See you guys next time.